So I come home from the lab one night.
Oh,
I go into my roommate's room and I sit on his desk and we talk. And I start regaling him about my concerns about my weight. You know, all this sedentary time in the lab. I'm just sitting on my ass all the time. And while I was complaining about how I'm fat as fuck, the desk breaks in half.
No.
And I fall to the floor, lacerating my leg on the way down.
Oh my God.
The desk that he had just been given from a neighbor literally cracked in half while I was complaining about how fat I was. In that case, we threw the desk out.
I was going to say, is it repairable?
That's understandable.
Another time, I have this mug that was handmade by a friend of mine. Lovingly crafted. It's the most beautiful mug ever. It has leaves. It has maple leaves, oak leaves, poplar leaves all over it, impressed into the clay. I love this mug so much. And I backed up and my fat ass hit it off the couch and it broke. What's different between these two stories? The first story, we threw the desk out, no problem. We threw it out that night, and the neighbor who gave it to us saw us carrying it out and was like, "Hey, what'd you do with that desk I just gave you?" In the second story, I was so upset that I broke this mug. I tried to glue it back together, and I realized it was just in too many pieces, and I couldn't, and I begged the artist to make me another one just like it, and she did. What's the difference between these two stories? Why did we care so little about that IKEA desk that my fat ass fell through? And why did I care so much about the mug? This episode is about why do we care for certain things? Why do we repair certain things? How can we make things more repairable for the future? And how do we integrate this ideology into our craft? Oh, here we are again with the cold open. This is Woodworking is Bullshit.
God damn, that was smooth as eggs too, buddy.
I'm your host, Paul Jasper from Copper Pig Woodworking, scientist by day, woodworker by night, and I'm here with two of my absolute favorite co-hosts, Eric Curtis, fine furniture maker and content creator.
¿Cómo estás, mother bitches?
And in the other chair tonight, Jack Thomas. Jack, your labels keep changing. Art professor, homesteader, idealist. What else?
Oh, definitely that last one.
Goddamn voice of a generation.
And the sexiest voice in all of podcasting. Guys,
or at least east of the Mississippi.
I think you already know what today's topic is. And I think we got to this because all three of us have a bee in our bonnet about the disposable generation that we live in. It bothers me every day. Every time I throw away something plastic, every time I hear about or every time I see something break in my house that is not repairable or I don't know how to repair it. So we thought today we would talk about, well, disposability and repair. And this borders on a lot of other topics. Like, how did we get here? How did we get to the disposable revolution? I think that bears on our previous episode with Jack on the loss of ornamentation. Like, changes in economics and globalization and, and ease of production and material science, right? There's a bit of that. And there's a bit of, well, how can we engineer things to not be thrown away? Which bears on a previous episode with Mary on emotionally durable design. So I'd like to just start by reviewing, like, how did we get here? How did we get to a place where everything's so shitty that we just wind up throwing it away? And then we'll transition to, well, what do you do in your current practice? And for all the listeners, are you thinking about repairability with the things you make, with the items in your home? And I think we'll lead off with, where do we go from here in the future? So with that framework in mind, maybe we'll just reflect. Why do you guys have a bee in your bonnet about repairability in the first place?
I don't want to live in a world that can't be repaired.
Why?
I don't like the idea of tossing things away. And I think it might be just, I'm not a sentimental person, but I just feel so wasteful and like I'm like I'm telling something that it has no potential for use anymore. And I guess I
Mm.
feel when I do that, I kind of think about like even human relationships. Like, how do we do that in human relationships sometimes as well?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's a
know.
whole different fucking episode, buddy.
Yeah.
What?
Next time. Next time. But to see that
Disposable human relationships is a strong one.
Well,
it
if
is.
you treat items as disposable, is it that far of that you treat
Sure,
relationships as,
sure.
yeah. Let's touch on that at another episode, or maybe
Oh
Maybe
after the
maybe
boy.
later,
show.
maybe later.
Oh
The
boy.
the the short non-philosophical answer is my dad used to work in a landfill, and I pretty much grew up in a landfill
I was
watching.
wondering what
Yeah.
your visual
Jack.
representation of throwing things away
Yeah,
was.
yeah. I mean, literally mountains of trash that just fill up more and get compacted more every day. But my
Wow.
dad loves to save things, and he would bring things home all the time that were like
Mm.
people would throw away like literal gold jewelry because it was in like a shitty cardboard box that they wanted to throw away and they didn't even look in the box. Like
Wow.
that kind of cultural mentality, I feel like it spills over to things that are not just our stuff. So when I throw away stuff, I kind of see it as other things too, you know?
Is it escapable? And maybe I'm jumping the gun on this though, but like
Hmm.
the world
Well,
in which we inhabit is like this is the world we have. And if we want to buy, like I don't remember where I was. I was in a grocery store recently and all of the apples were individually wrapped in saran wrap. And it was like, what the fuck are we
Oh
doing,
my
guys?
God.
And every time I go to the grocery store, I get dirty looks from the cashiers because I never put the vegetables in the bags. And they're just like, what? I have to touch your vegetables? I'm like, guys, I'll fucking wash them before I eat them. Like, it's fine. But this is the world we inhabit. So is it possible to traverse this world without throwing shit away so heavily?
all right, Eric. Can we come back to that? Because what I want to hear from you first is when you throw shit away, and you're a maker, you're a fixer, that's kind of in your DNA. How does it make you feel?
It depends on the scale of the object. It's. I mean, I am a fixer because I grew up poor. So I like, I can't anything that's in my space. Like if there's something wrong with it, part of it is just curiosity, but part of it I think is learned practice of just like, okay, how do I fix it? Even if it's like an IKEA table, like I can fix the leg, I can reinforce it. I can make that thing last another 5 years if I take 20 minutes of work to it. But I do this in the shop too. The my wood area, Larissa makes fun of me constantly because like the tiniest little scraps are still like propped up against the wall with all the other woods because like I can't differentiate the value between the two. And I'm like, one day I'm going to need that poplar for a jig.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's 1/8 of an inch by 4 inches. Put it in the fucking burn bin.
Eric, every time I throw something away or put something in the quote unquote recycle bin, and we all know that less than 10% of plastic is recycled. I think about it. I think every time I take a paper towel off the paper towel holder, I think about it. Should I have used a cloth? Why did I choose why did I choose the paper? I should have used the cloth. Every time I leave the water running, why am I doing that? Turn it off. I don't understand why this has happened to me. I guess because I'm so concerned about the environment in a general sense that I'm trying to absolutely minimize my footprint, but I'm a bit of a hypocrite. Like I'll throw a plastic container away, but I won't use epoxy in the shop. It's like, huh? They're both plastic, dog. What are you doing? So it's like, I guess where I'm at is it hurts me on a daily basis to not repair, to not conserve as best I can. But yet, to your point, Eric, we live in this world where when you buy milk, it's in a plastic container more often than not. I haven't sought out glass only where I can return it, but there's only so much time in a day for you to make all the right choices for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Are you buying your food in pasture raised? Are you getting your milk from the local milk person in glass bottles? Are you making sure you're not cooking with anything plastic? Are you using as little energy as possible? What are you doing to minimize your energy footprint? What are you throwing away? Could you have repaired it? Dude, this plagues me on a daily basis. And so, yeah, I have a real bee in my bonnet about throwing away something that I could repair, but often with circuit boards in toasters and shit. Like recently my toaster shit the bed and I look inside and there's a circuit board and I'm like, what do I do with
It's
this?
above your pay grade.
Oh yeah.
I'm not an electrical engineer who has all the equipment to diagnose a random ass circuit board in a toaster. So then I was like, okay, how do I buy a toaster that never breaks? There's got to be some fucking German company, right?
Yeah,
who
you
has
buy
like,
one from 1950, but it's about 10% the efficiency. And
well, I got news for you. My stove is from 1950. Big surprise there, and I use it every day. But yeah, what's the efficiency on that? I mean, it's an electric stove, but yeah, I have a huge bee in my bonnet about this all the time. And not only that, but it bleeds into how I think about craft. Like when I make something, is this going to hit the landfill or is this going to last? Sorry, I'll get off the soapbox. I'm just so upset on a daily basis.
Stay on it,
like
though.
I love when
yeah.
Preacher Paul comes out.
It's
Preacher
pouring
Paul.
out of me. I'm going to shut up now. So where are you guys currently with this? Do you relate to some of that?
In our craft?
Either.
I think about repairability in my work to a large extent, but it is not my singular focus. It's not the thing I think most about. There are times where, like, if I really wanted to go whole hog and all I ever used was hide glue and then like Japanese joinery, if it's, exposed to the elements to make sure that everything stays together, all of that is good and well and great. And we put that up on a pedestal on social media or just in media in general. And it deserves to be put on a pedestal. I'm not knocking it. But we don't, when you're consuming it in the form of a video and you don't have a lot of context for what it takes to create those things, it can become romanticized in a way that you're like, well, why don't we all just take 4 days to carve the bottom of a post to perfectly fit the curves of a rock so that when you lay the foundation of the house, those posts and beams are like, they're not going to deteriorate. And it's like, well, because that one fucking post took that guy 4 days. That's what, how much do you want to pay your workers? How much do my clients want to pay me? And how much time do I actually have to produce the objects that are going to keep a roof over my head? There are practical considerations.
Agreed.
Have we all just become so busy for one reason or another that things that are convenience are no longer convenience, but like a necessity? Because I do feel that way. I feel that way about a lot of the things that I throw away. Like Greg and I have a 4-foot tall plastic bag that we have been filling with other plastic bags for over 6 months. And my goal was and is that when we finish filling this bag of bags up, I'm going to take every single bag out and I'm going to categorize it according to what came in it. And then like whatever our top 3 things are, I'm going to fucking stop buying those things and I'm going to make those things instead. Right. But that's an incredible,
that's interesting.
Yeah. It's an incredible privilege of time though. Right.
Self-employed,
that was my first thought.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you like the number one thing is going to be fucking bagels. It's definitely going to be bagels. Faux show. But outside of that, like I try to buy things that I know can be repaired. Like I've recently gotten on this kick. I'm really hard on jeans. When you have a homestead, like every piece of clothing is a piece of farm clothing. You no longer own something that you do not wear for farming activity. Paul, your wife can probably like attest, to this. Like, oh, I put on my nice shirt, but now I have to go out and wrangle this chicken. Like it's you can't change your shirt. The chicken will be gone, right? Like you have to do it right then. So I was recently traveling to work for a client, and I went to Texas, and I went to a denim store called Imogen and Willie because I'd heard that they're just like legendary quality. The jeans are like friggin' $200.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I can't do this. But then I'd read these stories about how like if you get some that have a button fly, especially because zippers are so prone to fail and you just can't fix it yourself unless you're really skilled. If you get a pair of Imogen and Willie jeans that have a button fly, like, dog, that's a buy it for life. kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know? And the whole subreddit of Buy It for Life is blowing up with stuff like this. And it really makes me think, what's going to last if I take care of it, And then
Well,
what can I repair when it finally breaks anyway?
so that brings up a question about is buying, sorry, to have something be super high quality to last and be repairable, does that require a lot of wealth? That's the first question.
I think sometimes the answer is yes. I think usually the answer is yes. And depending on what the thing is, it costs more or less.
Now, can you justify that on the basis of buy it once, buy it for life?
Being able to justify it and being able to afford it are two different things. I
a
can
fair
justify
point.
it all day long, but dog,
That's
like
true.
if I wanted to go buy a $300 pair of shoes right now that would last me for the next 30 years, I couldn't do it. I'm not going to drop $300 on a pair of boots right now.
But how much are you wearing those boots too? Like, so I feel like this conversation of like, well, the wealthy person buys a pair of boots once and and it lasts him a lifetime, and the poor person buys the same pair of boots 40 times, so he ends up spending more money. That's fair to an extent, but also the wealthy person also has other shoes, whereas the poor person is probably wearing those shoes out every goddamn day
So
when
true.
they go to work. So it's like a use case thing. Like I have mugs that I'm sure, like the mugs that I have from our buddy David Bowen. I've used those every day for the past like 3 or 4 years. I'm sure I'll have those for the next 20 to 30 years until one day it falls off the bench and shatters.
When your fat ass knocks it off the couch like mine.
When your fat ass knocks it off the couch, but like it's I don't know. Like, I guess it also comes down to a question of volume of like, how many of the thing do you need?
Okay. Out of all your purchases in a typical year, let's just say, roughly speaking, how many of them are the highest quality, buy it once, buy it for life? How many are in the middle? And how many are quick, disposable, I just need it now and I need it cheap? What's your percentage if you could assign?
I would guess that the overwhelming majority are in the middle. I very rarely buy a thing that I'm going to throw away immediately, like if ever. And maybe that's the cheap person in me where I'm just like, why would I spend money on something I'm going to throw away tomorrow? High-end purchases, I feel like that's maybe relative because I buy things
high end to you, Eric. That would be high end to you.
High end to me that I would like really I would pause before buying.
Yes, it would be a stretch for you, but you're like, it's going to last. It's going to give me the durability.
I don't typically buy those things because if I want one of those things, I will either make one of those things instead, like a lower end version of it, but I'll make it, or I have enough friends who are really good at what they do that I'll try to trade them for something like that.
Oh, wow.
Or like a lot of times I'll buy the middle tier thing and then just repair it as long as again, Larissa makes fun of me a lot for, I will sew my jeans. Like I'll buy jeans off of wherever, $20, $30 jeans because I wear them out. And I'll sew the crotch shut 7 to 20 times before I throw those jeans out.
Why is that crotch?
I don't know why it's on.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, just doing what I got to do out here, trying to live life.
On that note, Jack, what's your percentage?
I've sewed many a jean crotch in my life, so I understand. Eric, like you, I grew up like very poor, very, very poor, and so I definitely have that like, no matter how shitty something is, I have to milk every last freaking drop of utility out of this thing, dog. It does not matter. Like, I think maybe this is blindness, but I think that of the stuff I buy, maybe only like 10% is that like instantaneously disposable kind of stuff. And I would say that usually when that's true, it's packaging for food. Because, even though we love to grow our own food, I love to make food at home. Sometimes you just get really fucking busy, right?
Yeah.
Like, who's got time to, make a dozen delicious bagels every Sunday? I'm going to find out because I'm going to freaking try. But I think that I would say that to mirror that, I think only 10% of our purchases every year are like luxury tier purchases. Now that's by volume, not by amount of money spent.
Right.
I
Of
think
course
that
not.
those,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
fair.
Of
Sure.
I
course
think
not.
those
Yeah.
10%, those 10% of luxury purchases
Yeah.
probably make up like 30% of the budget, that we allocate to buy things. Most of the
and-
stuff's in the middle, but I repair it anyway.
So both of you are you two are very similar in that most of your purchases are in the middle, and you both have an ethos of repairability. When you do go for the high end, what is it? What gets you to open your wallet?
Outside of woodworking stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. They're like I am prone to infatuation. So I'll become a little bit obsessed with a thing for a while,
Me.
So like
You got
I
the
mean
ADHD,
you all
bro.
the time, baby. That's it. It's true. It's true. So like over the summer I got a new motorcycle and I got some new gear, and I haven't bought new gear in a decade, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's ride, baby. New bike, new look, what's good? So you get some shit like that, and then all of a sudden you're like, I just spent fucking $2,000 on new gear. Okay. Oh, dude, motorcycle expensive.
$2,000 on the low end.
It's on the low. Yeah, well, again, I'm still cheap. Yeah,
Yeah.
motorcycle gear is fucking expensive.
Oh,
My helmet was mid-tier and it was $800.
Same. Mine's mid-tier
What?
and it was $7.99.
Yeah.
$7.99. Yeah.
True statement.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
what are you
dog.
doing?
Yeah.
I mean, also, if you get in a wreck, what do you want to have on your head? A fucking bicycle helmet? Like,
Oh my
It's
God.
cheaper than $7.99.
it's cheaper than brain surgery.
Exactly. In this economy?
In this economy?
Jack, what are you spending your money on?
Well, I sold my motorcycle a couple months ago, so now thank God I'm not I'm no longer hemorrhaging money on my favorite hobby. That was my my own personal thing, but I would say that I spend money on clothes, and not because I buy a lot of clothes or I like luxury goods. You guys know I'm usually I'm wearing a fancy shirt today because I haven't done laundry in 2 weeks, and it's the last thing I have to wear.
All right, guys, I was gonna say y'all without the video feed are missing out.
You're missing out on this. Yes. But I did get it at a thrift store, so there's that.
And by the way, if you want the video feed, subscribe to the Patreon to see Jack in her laundry day negligee. That rhymes.
It is worth every penny, guys. Every penny. So I try to buy clothes at thrift stores, but I look for labels that I know are like heirloom quality labels. And when I have to splurge because I need if I'm I need another pair of jeans, I've sewn the crotch of these 5 times, I got no crotch left, and I need to go buy something.
Who among us hasn't said I got no crotch left?
I mean, not a single person.
Both y'all busting out of your crotches. I don't know what's wrong with the two of you.
For different reasons, I'm sure.
I mean,
Keep it in your pants.
I'm just trying to keep myself in my pants
Yeah,
by
we
sewing
just
the crotch up.
we just going big hog wild out here, dog.
But if I can't find something thrifted, I'm gonna drop the coin on it because I know it's gonna last me a really long time, and it's gonna be rugged as hell while I'm using it. And also, when you open my closet, it looks like a fucking cartoon character. I've got 5 pairs of the same jeans, 10 of the same sweater in just slightly different colors, mostly shades of gray. But that's the thing I'm willing to spend money on. Because I know it's going to last. It's going to make me comfortable in the meantime. It's really high utility. And good clothes are something that you can easily repair. I got a sewing machine and a serger over here. And I know how to darn socks and shit, right? So being able to buy good clothes and repair them. Who the hell's going to repair something that they got from Temu or Shein?
Yeah.
You're just not going to bother. You don't care about it enough. It's like the desk versus the mug.
Oh,
Paul, what do you spend money on, buddy?
Yeah, so when I was 21 in college, now I didn't grow up poor. I grew up very middle class. Definitely privilege. When I was turned 21 and I was in college, my mom, because she was kind of an absentee mother and felt guilty, gave me $2,100 for my 21st birthday. And that's an exorbitant amount of money to a 21-year-old. That's just stupid. And like I said, it was probably guilt, right? And not being a great mother. But that's another story for another time. So
That's for the therapy pod.
I can
is
co-host that with you, Doug.
the therapy after show. She's dead now, so she can't hear this.
I was gonna ask.
So I shouldn't be laughing. I sound terrible. What a jerk. It's not funny, but
It's all right. I laughed
but it
first.
just the way it came out made me. So she gave me $21, and the question was, what do I got to do with this gift? You know? And so I'm like, you know what? I want to buy a stereo and a pair of speakers, but I want it to be really, really high quality so that I have it forever. And so I think I've been wired that way from a young age, even so much as a teenager. And I bought an Onkyo receiver and CD player and 2 Klipsch speakers that I still have today. And I'm 50 now, 30 years. And they all still work flawlessly. And
How many
I play
CDs you got though?
I 0, but I don't use the CD player. But the receiver is still working, and the speakers still sound great.
I could see 21-year-old Paul be like, "Yo, check out this 5-disc changer I got though. I'm trying to
It
get the
was.
80s over."
Oh, you bitch! It was.
Oh,
a
you know,
disc.
you goddamn right. You goddamn right it was.
I also bought a cassette player. If that dates things. Okay,
He said, listen to how good the Boss Stones sound on this.
So, that to me, it seemed foolish at the time. I think a lot of people looked at me like, you did what now? But now I've had it for 30 years and we use it all the time, and it still works great, and I still enjoy it we use it all the time for 30 years. So was that a bad use of money, even though it was $2,000 in total? To me, that was like an amazing deal. And thinking also about what I will drop a lot of money on is my house. I live here. I want to be surrounded by quality, right? We have a clawfoot tub that has been there since 1912. I can't even estimate the number of asses that have been in that bathtub. But I mean,
2 at a time.
When maybe, but when it was time to change the hardware and repair it, I bought the absolute best all brass, heavy chrome plated hardware, spouts, knobs, ceramic, the best I could buy, because dude, this thing has lasted a century. What's not to invest in your own house? When I built my porch, I had to decide, what do I make it out of, right? I mean, that's a fucking... I'm sure this is going to interest every listener. What do you make shit out of that's in the elements? What do you choose? Do you do pressure treated? Do you do Trex? Do you do some kind of wood? I chose Ipe. Ipe is like one of the densest woods in the world. It's obviously fully natural product. I was not going to do plastic. That's just not who I am.
I fucking hate Trex.
I was not going to do pressure treated. And I invested heavily in the Ipe. It was like several grand just for the materials for the floorboards. And guess what? Here we are almost 20 years later, and it is flawless. It looks so good. And now my neighbors who bought their house, they're only in their upper 20s. They're 28 and 29. Their porch is deteriorating. And I was curious what they were going to choose. The question is, what does the new generation choose? What are their priorities? So they talk to me and they're like, I'll tell you, I'll give you your options. You got pressure treated. It's cheap. It'll do the job for at least 15 years easily. There's cedar. There's Trex composites with plastics in it. And then there's Ipe, mahogany, sort of at the top tier, and I was so curious what they were going to choose. They chose Ipe.
How old are they?
And they could afford it?
28 and 27. And they're like, listen, this is for our house. I know it's a stretch. I know we're going to have to pay it off for a time. But this is our fucking house. We want to think of our daughter, who their daughter's only 4 or 5 months old. We want to think about her crawling around on something that we care for, that we don't have to worry about what copper azole is in it from the pressure treated, or, plastic and harm to the environment. So they sacrificed money that they probably could have used in other places because they cared about the quality and the repairability.
And I mean, all right, all of this is good and well, but I want to take us off our high horses for a moment, because right now we're just like, we should all be more like us. We're doing great things. We're doing our best.
Let's
Yep.
go.
So if everybody tomorrow,
Yep.
if everybody, fuck everybody in the world, fuck everybody in America, everybody in the states of Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Vermont chose to repair their deck and forego Trex or pressure treated or cedar, and everybody chose Ipe.
Right.
We would clear cut the Ipe forests of South America tomorrow.
Yes.
So this is a real problem of volume of like, okay, maybe we are making things that are disposable, but if everybody switched tomorrow to a system that was more sustainable, we would drain the earth of resources in a goddamn second.
100%, Eric.
Absolutely.
And I would add to our hypocrisy in that people aren't worried about whether their deck goes 15 or 20 years when they're thinking about food for the next week or the next month.
Bingo.
Right.
It's a problem of privilege, to be fair.
Yeah, but yes, it is. And I think that's a thing that we definitely need to hit on. But like, if we do the thing in our craft where we go repairability and sustainability and environmentalism is really, really important. So I'm going to get rid of all plastic glues or, you know, conversion glues, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So that leaves us with hide glue. Tomorrow, if every manufacturer switched to hide glue, all of the fucking horses and cows would be dead. Like, that's it. They're done. They're done. So how do we square that with like, we need to be more sustainable, but also don't murder all of the animals?
Well, obviously it has. Go ahead, Jack.
Now, are we saying that like craft at scale is just not sustainable, and that
No,
like
it is. It just has to happen gradually, Eric. I mean, look. The way you put that's real funny. Like if everyone.
I mean, yes, obviously it's a joke, but it is a real problem, though.
It's like if everyone who owns a car on the earth got in their car, pointed it east at the same time, and hit the gas all the way, would we affect the rotation of the earth? Right.
But I mean, yes, it's a very comedic Superman-y way to frame it. But the point I think stands of like, we talk about, you know, we should move away from plastics, and to a large extent we should, but what's the alternative? And how do we get to that alternative?
Yep.
And let's just keep it to our field right now. Let's keep it to woodworking. There are so many things that we do and use, whereas like, there are so many things that are still made out of wood. Let's take the IKEAs out of it. Let's just go with cabinet shops in the developed world. Okay. There is a huge amount of cabinet shops in the developed world producing goods and crafts at a large scale. And if we went no more plastic finishes and everybody had to switch to either linseed oils or shellac, we'd run out. Decimate the population.
It's true. You're
of
right.
the lac bug and the linseed tree. I don't know what the fuck that comes from. But like you see what I'm saying? Like, we have to figure out how to balance our self-righteousness about these things with the practical realities of like, there's 8.5 billion people living on this fucking planet, and we don't have the resources for everybody to have an Ipe deck.
I agree. Yeah. All right.
Where does linseed oil come from?
It comes from the aloha tree.
Okay, so I think the economics of it is like is a naturally limiting factor, right? So luckily we never have to worry about Ipe, phasing out because of our desire. Like, I mean, honestly, a week of groceries at this point costs the same as 10 board feet of Ipe.
Mm-hmm.
So, so there's that. But I guess my question is, if people can't afford or there's just not enough of something that's considered like the best quality of thing, what can we do to like make more out of what we have, what we are able to get? What is like a middle ground of craft?
Great question. Can I, that's such a great question. I'd like to rephrase it too, and then point the question at Eric. Eric, you have made, and you can point it back at me too.
This motherfucker calling me out over here.
I'm calling your fucking ass out. You have made items for the wealthy, right? I mean,
sure.
The amount of time that it takes you to make the items they're requesting are such that really the people with more money are the ones who buy them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So lately, it seems like the finest quality only goes to the people with the most money. I'm just talking in a general sense.
Sure.
Now, I feel as though, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Jack, this I'm restating kind of what you said, but in a more verbose way. It seems to me like a century ago or 2 centuries ago, 1800s, 1700s, that there was this whole middle ground of furniture that was utilitarian, that was not that expensive. It was like middle of the road or low quality. It wasn't pretty. It didn't have any embellishments. It wasn't perfect, but it did the job. It was like a stool that someone made, real quick. But it worked and it lasted because it was made out of good quality. Where has this middle ground gone? I guess I don't see. My point is, I see the upper crust getting the luxury goods, the finest materials, the best craftsmanship. But where has this middle and lower quality bracket gone in recent times?
I think the middle and lower quality bracket still very much exists. I think our perspective on what is considered middle tier has shifted. So there's obviously still the low end shit, right? There's the IKEA whatnots. There's the disposable things.
Is all the middle and low, is it all mass produced? Is any of it made by craftspeople anymore?
I think very little of it is made by craftspeople, but I do think there are some people who are making those middle tier objects. And like the first thing that popped in my head was like Crate and Barrel, like it's West Elm, the things that like we might say, like people outside of the furniture world would say that's high-end furniture. People in the furniture world is like, that's absolute trash. But it is solid wood.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say trash.
It's not. But you know what I mean? Like
middle. I would say it's middle, upper middle.
It's mass produced. Yeah. It's boring. But I think our perspective on what is middle has shifted. Because we become so used to the price point of IKEA that when something is sold at the price point of West Elm, like to some people, it's offensive. But that is the midpoint now. And if somebody is producing unadorned, repeatable objects, CNCing them out, selling them at a small scale, they are in direct competition with the Crate and Barrels and the West Elms of the world.
But they're pricing like they're in direct competition with them sometimes.
Well, exactly.
Too.
And that's what I'm saying is like, not only is the quality roughly the same, solid wood, good construction, repairable, but the price point is roughly the same too. You're going to pay a few $100s for an end table, whereas you can buy one for $50 from IKEA, or I can make you one for $4,000. Those are your windows.
Okay, Eric, I like the way this is going. So you're talking about high end, middle end, low. Money is so taboo in this culture, in this time. Let's talk money.
Sure.
Love it.
Let's just to give an example, of these tiers that you're talking about. I think it's very helpful to all of us. So let's take a chair. I'll start. A handmade Windsor chair from a well-trained artisan, $2,000.
That checks.
Okay. What is a chair from West Elm or Crate and Barrel?
You're probably talking anywhere between $300 and $800 a chair.
I only know this because I was shopping recently, but they do have some like, I'll even call it lower tier West Elm,
find out.
Type stuff.
Let's fucking Google it right now.
Yeah. I mean, they have things that are like maybe $130, which,
really?
To me as a millennial, where, I'm so old that the light has already left my eyes.
Jack, welcome to the club.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, all right, hold on. We're talking specifically like dining chairs, right?
Let's say a dining chair.
Sure.
How much is a dining chair?
Yeah.
Well, Jack, keep going.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
So I think, and Eric, remind me how old you are again?
I'm 37 years
37.
young.
Okay, cool. Me as well. We both remember a time, I think, when like you could get something that was ugly, but solid wood, amazing construction. I'm thinking about this like entertainment center my parents had when that was still a thing, like for your big TV, and shit. And like, it was massive solid wood construction. We went to pick it up from the guy who made it, and it was $500.
Whoa.
Now like maybe he was undercharging, but I don't think so. And that seemed incredibly expensive to us at the time. So, inflation's probably part of it. That becomes too political a discussion maybe. But like now paying $130 for a dining chair, I'm like, if something is priced less than that, I don't trust it. But if it's priced more than that, I can't buy it.
Sure. Well, that's the trouble, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking on their website right now, and it looks like their range is anywhere from like out discarding like the $50 ones that are basically just IKEA ripoffs, anywhere from around $150 to $200 to the most expensive single chair I'm seeing right now is priced between $1,100 and $2,000.
A dining chair
Yeah,
from West Elm.
from West Elm. There's another one right next to it that is $1,500 for $1,500 to $2,000 for a set of two.
I would go buy it from a local furniture maker at that point.
Yeah, I mean at that point,
Okay.
but a lot of people don't know that what we do exists, right? So they think that West Elm is like the highest quality that one can get, and I don't think that's an unreasonable conclusion if you're unfamiliar with the world of craft furniture or studio furniture.
All right. How about something else everyone knows the price of? Cutting boards. All right. I've seen cutting boards sell for as high as the highest I recall is like $800, 600, 800. They were, of course, ornately patterned, ultra thick, really huge, all end grain. Like it must have taken that person forever to come up with that pattern and do it at such a large scale. I started selling all solid wood cutting boards when I started woodworking for $50. And I got a lot of people who looked at me like I had two heads, like thinking that was too crazy. And then when I started making plaid cutting boards, I was selling them not for $50, but for $250. And I couldn't keep them in stock. Like there were so many requests at that price point that I didn't even want to make them. There were so many people. And then if you go to Home Goods down the street, you can find a bamboo or a acacia wood or whatever, however you say that, for like $20 or $15, and it's solid wood.
And it's good enough.
Good enough.
Do you think that the increase in purchasers for the $250 cutting board was the effect of the perceived quality of the piece because of price point or because of the visual stimulation that was coming from the plaid?
Yes.
I mean, like you started out with the pig cutting boards, right?
That's right.
Like, listen, everybody does it. I did it. I did the cutting boards with like the 3 stripes, like, and then you're like, well, why isn't anybody buying it? Because every fucker who has a goddamn table saw and a planer is making that same fucking cutting board. And like theirs was $20. Why the fuck is yours $50? You don't matter, Eric Curtis at 22 years old.
Eric,
you know?
you just alienated like 80% of our audience.
Well, I mean, yes, but also like I was that guy too. So like I reckon like you can't see beyond your current moment and you're trying to figure out why people are offended that I'm asking $50 for this cutting board that did take me an hour and a half to make. So it's not unreasonable from my end. I don't know. It's a cutting board is an interesting thing. Especially now that people are afraid of microplastics. I think we have the advantage at this current moment, but we didn't 10 years ago. We didn't 10 years ago.
Yeah. All right. So, I've really enjoyed this conversation on pricing because we actually put ranges on like the highest of the high. I mean, maybe there's a few examples higher, but to the middle, to the low. And I think that's a useful discussion. Now we talked about, how craftspeople today who are earning a full-time living have to market to the sort of the highest price point echelon, and that there is a middle ground there. I think still, hobbyists make things for the middle ground. I see a lot of middle ground prices on Etsy, well made, all hardwood construction, but definitely a lower price point. Go ahead, Eric.
The old adage that I was taught early on is build for the classes, live with the masses. Build for the masses, live with the classes, right? Like if you sell to the high end, you're only selling so many things and you can make a living, but you'll make a mediocre living. If you want to actually make real money, you make things, you produce things at scale and sell to everyone.
Well, you're not going to do that as a single person maker, buddy, because your time.
Well, sure. Yeah, of course.
I mean, that pushes you into business. and
But
industry.
and that's the thing. So I guess what I'm pushing back on is like
I see.
the like you don't have to market to the high end. And in fact, the smart business move would be to market to the mid to high mid tier and
Aspirational.
and find other people to produce your shit.
Find other people to produce your shit.
But so that's the value of it, right? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to make shit or do you want to make money? Because those are your options. Very rarely do you do both.
Dog, I am not ready to grapple with that. I need to sit with that for a minute. You know,
do you want to make money or do you want to make shit, right, Jack?
Yeah.
I feel like I need to just go away and just think about that. I think, okay, I don't want to agree with what you're saying. To an extent, I do. However, as a printmaker, like I practice at the highest level of my craft, but printmaking is inherently about multiples, right? So it's a different conversation entirely. The printmaking part aside, focusing on woodworking, I think that there's like a twofold ethical question here, maybe.
Go ahead.
And I don't want this to have to be a question, but like yes, marketing to the rich people and selling to them is the way to like make the money and make the work, right? Like to be able to keep doing that. But we're all sitting here bitching right now about how we can't afford X, Y, and Z, because even though we make decent money, we can't go out and buy craft everything. Like my most prized possession, and I hope Keith Johnson's listening to this, my most prized possession that I would like fucking try to pick up and run away with in a fire. The one thing, I mean, but it's incredibly fucking heavy because it's well made. So I think I'd just die in the fire. But like, but is this beautiful, solid walnut console table with copper pulls on it that Keith made for his course that he did with Teachable when I was the course design manager at Teachable, and he gave it to me as a gift for coming to New Jersey and like, you know, DP, directing, producing, you know, his course. It is the nicest thing I own. I treasure it. I would never be able to buy it, not because I don't prioritize spending money on those things, right? But I just couldn't get it. And we're middle class, right?
Yeah.
We're probably even upper middle class to an extent. Like definitely not even the top 3% or 5% by far, but like we're the people that y'all are talking about you should be marketing to. So how do you square that? And then I guess the other side of the coin is like, do we have a duty to create some things that are nice that the masses can afford, like a wooden spoon, you know, every now and then or something?
Oh, this is an interesting question.
Yeah, Jack, two points just came out of that. 3 points. Number one, Keith is my angel. I love Keith. I love me some Keith.
We love you, boo-boo.
Keith, I know you're listening.
Love you.
What's up, handsome?
That's the first thing. The second thing is, Jack, your point. If we're considered middle class, why, you know, how often should we buy that really upper tier of quality? I think we have to pick and choose. We don't have enough money to buy it in everything. So each of us, we pick and choose. Eric, you pick and choose mugs.
Sure.
I pick and choose mugs. Also, that's why we both have like $80, $100 handmade mugs. Like, who does that?
Okay, no, I do too, though. I haven't mentioned it, but I do too.
Okay, so like for some odd reason, that speaks to us. And I think every person has that thing that they're willing to pony up the money for. And occasionally I'm the beneficiary of that when someone's like, Paul, I need a box. I want this. Like, I just yes to all of it. Yes to the price, let's go. And because that is what that person wants, but they may say no to all the other things, right? So I guess we have to kind of pick our poison in terms of what we're willing to invest the money in.
And are people willing to invest this because they know it's going to last? Like it's even going to outlast them, maybe.
That's the purpose.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
I do want to come back to the question of an ethical responsibility to produce things for people who can't afford the highest end. But I also, before I do that, want to point out that the things that we buy that we're talking about, like let's take the mugs, for example.
Yeah.
Lest we shit on production processes. The things that are being made by the ceramicists that we typically buy from, it's a production process that are being altered to be one-offs ever so slightly, but 90% of the process for them is honed. Like David makes
that's
mugs. It's what he does.
That's
so
true.
making a cup is not hard. And then altering the tooth, altering the tongue, altering the eyebrow is what makes it unique.
So he's
But
like a
it's
one-man
production
assembly.
work.
He's like a one-man factory line, but there are these small changes at the end that are made. And that, to me, that doesn't make me love it any less.
No. I'm not trying to devalue it. I'm just trying, like, lest we get too high up on our horses of like everything should be handmade and unique and individual. It's like they are. And the things that we are talking about, we are able to afford are from the people who make one thing and they get really good and really fast at that one thing. And even though it's still handmade, they have honed the process of making it to be as efficient as possible. So I don't want to disregard production processes.
Absolutely. Sure. And we've talked about the importance of production in previous episodes. Now, Eric, to your point, though, about do you make things for multiple price points? Do you do it because you think it's right? Do you do it because you think it's a market opportunity? Or do you do it at all?
I don't do it at all. And I want to put, I guess, a little bit of an asterisk on that because this is kind of tying into the ethics question, right? I guess I want to preface this like with, at the risk of sounding too self-righteous, but I don't produce things for price points that even like I can afford or some of the wealthier friends that I have can afford. But I do give away all of my knowledge on the internet for free. And my hope is that the people who can't afford it can, like, I have said this on the podcast before. I am a believer in the Ratatouille philosophy that not everyone can cook, but a great cook can come from anywhere, right? Like anyone can be a great furniture maker or build beautiful objects. And that person can exist wherever. So if they have access to information and knowledge, that could encourage them to make really beautiful objects. So my hope is that by giving my experience and information and knowledge away on the internet for free and not putting it behind a paywall, that other people can make objects for themselves that are more sustainable than buying it from IKEA.
So I guess the question is like, how do we all give something that lasts? How do we all make something that lasts?
How do you do that?
That's a great friggin' question. I make very ephemeral things. Don't call me out like that, dog.
That's a great question. Thanks for asking me my own question.
Eric, you turned that around right quick.
Ugh, feel stabbed. No, this is tricky. So like with the question about, do we make things that people like us, right, can afford? I do because I make prints, but they're so friggin' ephemeral, right? I mean, on the one hand, there are prints that, we've unearthed that come from hundreds and hundreds of years ago that are well preserved for one reason or another. But at the end of the day, it's friggin' on paper. Like, yes, the block, the matrix is carved out of wood, but it's on paper. But I make that decision for a reason because my little inner leftist wants to make things that people can afford. Like people can have in their homes and can be beautiful. Like people need real art. People don't need like TJ Maxx home goods ass art. People need weird fucking art. They need specific art that just, you see it and you're like, God, it gives me such great pleasure to interact with this on a day-to-day basis. It enriches my life, right? I make paintings every now and then. And I sell them to rich people. I market them to rich people. And the prices have usually at least 3 zeros after the first number that's not a zero. And that's fine. That really helps pay the bills. That's great. But I get so much more pleasure as a maker from making those prints and knowing that like I'm going to do a run of 30 prints. I'm going to sell each of them for $50. And that many people, 30 people can have this like really cool, amazing thing in their home. But I'm privileged because I make multiple things from a single matrix. When you guys make something, it's one of one. Even if you copy your own design later, it's still one of one.
It is. But I guess I'm thinking about the qualitative issue of like, if it's on paper, it's somehow less good, less valuable, maybe less sustainable. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with making a thing that lasts a human lifetime. I think that should be the goal in a lot of cases.
Oh, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like you print a thing on paper. Here's what we know. Paper will biodegrade. I buy it from you. And this is something I know I'm really bad at. I'm bad at buying 2-dimensional art. And I need to get better at it. Cause like you walk into my house and there's 700 liquor cabinets because that's all I fucking make apparently. And then there's no prints, there's no art, there's no photos anywhere. But like you make this thing for a person who falls in love with it. And what I think is interesting about, like, we talk about sustainability and like passing these things down to future generations, but how many of the things that we own are our parents or grandparents or great grandparents? So few of them.
So few.
Right. And so how many of my pieces are going to get tossed in the fucking dumpster in 50 years when I was going to say choke the chicken. That's not what
that means at all.
So when I choke the chicken, how many of my pieces are going to get tossed?
Something's going to get tossed, but it's not going to be your pizzas.
I stand by it. I feel like I'm going to reclaim that euphemism. Oh, that might be my best derailing of my own point in the history of the show.
Of all time. Oh my God. Okay. So let me try to
Paul's lost for 5 minutes.
No.
There's
Eric!
I'm going to try to re-rail us, guys.
No, I got
Wait,
it.
that sounds sexual. Never mind. God
Jack,
damn
that didn't
it.
help. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Wow. Oh, wow.
Anyway, the point is, paper's great. That was my point. Okay. Don't sleep on paper, guys.
Don't sleep on paper. Mama's got bills to pay.
Okay.
So how much does love have to do with it? Like, Eric, the thing that you just stood out, that just stood out to me, besides choking the chicken, is like, and re-railing something, is that, Paul, when I look at you laughing, I start laughing all over again. So I'm just going to like go like this for a second. Like, how much of whether or not something is repairable and disposable has to do with not just how it's made, but how much somebody loves it.
Yeah.
I think so much of it does, like but this comes back to my point of like, if I buy an object from you, it matters to me. You're my friend. I respect the work that you do. I love the work that you do. And I hold on to it. And 50 years from now, when I choke the chicken, my grandkids don't know who the fuck you are and don't care, And so it gets tossed in the bin. And like, my mother has my great grandmother's dining table. Wow. It was not a particularly well-crafted dining. It was fine, for the time. It was production, but it was good quality, solid oak. And it is, I've repaired it several times. And I have said several times to her, like, when the time comes, I'll make you a new dining table. She's like, I'm never getting rid of that. Not a chance. Because it was her grandmother's, So I think a huge part of that is how much you love the object and the story that comes with the object itself.
The story that comes with the object itself, Eric, is what we touched on episode, I don't know what it was, early episode on emotionally durable design. You remember
Great
that?
episode.
With Mary, about what does it take to imbue objects with attributes that make you not want to throw them away. And so if you're interested in a more complete treatment of that, which I think you just touched on, you can go back to that episode. I do want to say that if for myself, every year I try to make objects that are less expensive. I don't mean every year thereafter. I mean, once a year, I do a push of a less expensive object. Because I feel bad that I don't want high-end art to only be for the rich people, quote unquote, right? I feel like good art, good materials, it's a natural resource. Wood's a natural resource, right? I feel like it should be for everyone. So once a year, usually around November, December, I'll do a run, I don't know, 20, 50, 100 of something that is very affordable to now. affordable to far more people than my average box, let's say, or my average piece. And I guess I just derive so much joy from watching people's excitement at owning like a beautiful piece of wood. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm like, oh wow, they own a piece of my stuff and they're all excited. It's not even that. It's like they're so excited. Like this wood that I use is so beautiful. I'm excited to have it. I feel like I'm a steward of it. Like I don't know how I got so lucky to buy it or inherit it or whatever, and like to pass that beautiful piece of nature onto the next person at a price point that they can afford once a year, let's say, is awesome. It's awesome for me. Like, do I make as much money? No. And do I put a whole shitload of my hours into it? Yes. But the joy that I see art and quality bringing to other people makes me feel good about it. So I do it almost every year around the holidays.
Well, and I don't want to let you discount the value that you as a person and a maker and a personality are bringing to that object. Because part of the reason, like, yes, it's beautiful wood. Yes, the materials, yada, yada, yada. And if somebody were to encounter that object outside of knowing you, outside of knowing those people, and they felt that way, that's great. That's wonderful. That means that you did your job well. But a lot of the reason that people want the objects that you make is because they admire and respect and look up to you. And that's where that love is imbued in the object, you know?
Well, thank you.
Like that's an important aspect of it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You're right. It's just, I don't think about that often, but you're right. Thank you. All right. So the last chapter of this, I think we did a really interesting job covering this repairable, like money bracket, luxury, not luxury. Like I love this conversation. It's been very highly chaotic and highly variable, but boy, did we stumble on some gems like Eric choking his chicken. I can't even. Okay. So so thinking about where do we go from here? I want one last chapter of this conversation. Looking forward for not just us, not just the three of us, but for every listener. Where do we go from here? How do we make things more repairable? Let's start with that. There's multiple questions here. How do we make things more repairable? Let's start with that. In your own practice.
Okay, so not like general woodworking, like everybody needs to do proper joinery shit. Like when I am in my shop doing what I do.
Well,
is that what
Eric,
we're talking about?
I think either, Eric. Both are valuable. Yeah? Like, how do you make things more repairable?
God, that's so tricky. Because there's so many answers. Use higher quality materials. You know,
what does that mean? What does that mean? What's low quality?
I mean, have you used plywood from China in the last year?
But Eric, don't assume every listener knows what you mean.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
If you buy a sheet of plywood from a foreign manufacturer and it comes and it immediately delaminates, A, don't make furniture out of that, and B, don't buy from that manufacturer.
All right, so what do you suggest people make things out of?
I'm not saying sheet goods are a problem.
No,
I'm
not
know, saying they're not.
But give some guidance.
Baltic birch, the quality is still pretty high, even though there are some, qualities or troubles with manufacturing and shipping into the States at this point. Apple ply never really took off, but it still is available. You can get it. And solid wood. Like, don't be afraid to make your own sheet goods out of real hard. Like, we've been veneering for centuries, guys. Yeah. You can veneer over solid wood and you can make sheet goods.
Or you can just make shit out of hardwood.
You can just make shit out of hardwood. Sure.
Right? You don't have to necessarily use sheet goods or veneers.
For sure. Use higher quality materials that you're going to be less apt to be wasteful with.
Great. Use higher quality materials. Jack, what do you do to make things more repairable?
That's tough, because when you make something that's not like interacted with every day, and like any level of degradation is seen as the end of that, the quality of that thing, period. That's a tough question. I think, one bee I have in my bonnet with like student or like new printmakers is the paper quality. You know, people go and they buy these like sort of like glue edge laminated fat stacks of, you know, printmaking paper, and it's actually really, really garbage. It's not necessarily acid free or anything like that. Like using archival grade acid free cotton rag paper is chef's kiss.
Okay.
If you're gonna take the time, like I'll spend freaking 12 hours, you know, or more carving a woodblock. Why would I want to print it on something awful? That like that's an insult to me, not just to the person I'm selling it to, right? Like I've degraded my own craft. I've degraded the tradition of my craft and also degraded it in my own studio when I do that.
Out of curiosity, Jack, what's the price difference between those two materials?
Between which two? Oh, those papers?
Like, yeah.
Well, okay, like this is where I'm gonna sound like totally a snob, right? And like
No,
it's
I just sounded like a snob. I was like, stop making shit out of cheap shit and buy expensive hardwood.
but you can't not have that conversation no matter what medium you're working in when you're talking about quality. You know, like it's an elitist conversation to an extent, even if you're not trying for it to be, even if you're coming from that blue collar background. The price difference is about 1.8 to 2.4 times more. So like you are because paper is like the primary, you know, material that you're using when you're printmaking. You're drastically increasing your prices. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
So like a ream of like normal bullshit paper costs
that you can't even buy that kind of paper by the ream. Like I would say, okay, so a single sheet of the good stuff, a 22 inch by 30 inch sheet of the really good stuff is going to cost you, let's pretend inflation never happened. It's going to cost you anywhere between like $9.50 and maybe $13 and change. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For a single 22 by 30 inch piece
Like
of paper.
$13 for a piece of paper?
A single piece of paper. Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God. But you know what? If a print was going on to that piece of paper that I loved so much,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I want it on the wall of my living room for the next 30 years, $13, man, that's a walk in the park.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever. I mean, like would you not think it was totally just like batshit if like a famous, you know, woodworking artist, or rather wood printing artist like Albrecht Dürer spent all that time carving these beautiful like ingrain, you know, wood engravings, and then printed it on some like shitty piece of, you know, I don't know, raw paper pulp bullshit, right?
Yeah.
The reason that his work has lasted is because it was put on the most incredible paper he had available at the time.
All right. So both y'all gave the same answer. Use quality materials.
Yeah.
Right. And the second axis, aside from materials, is make it repairable. Now, Jack, you can't make prints necessarily repairable. I mean, they can be conserved, sure, maybe. But Eric, you and I, we can make things repairable.
We can. We can
use hide glue, which is reversible, repairable. We can use finishes that are reversible, repairable, depending.
So, you know? Paul, how do you make things repairable?
I use joinery that will stand the test of time. And how do I know that? Because it already has in pieces that have been here for centuries. And I use cowhide glue. And I use shellac, which is reversible and repairable. That's what I do. I don't do it on every single piece. It depends what the piece is. If the piece is just just for fun, and it's not meant to like pull at the heartstrings for the next century, I might use a PVA glue, which is polyvinyl acetate, which is some form of plastic, like a modern yellow glue. But if it's something someone's going to love, and I know they're going to be bonded to that item for their entire life, I will make it repairable because I know I want their children to have the opportunity to repair it, even though I won't be here. But I feel like I did the right thing when I do that. Is that what you do?
Yes. I have different feelings on things like PVA glues than you do. But on like in principle, I agree with you. I try to like all of the pieces that I make for clients are built with proper joinery. And by proper, I want to be specific about this for a lot of our audience. Like it doesn't mean only dovetails and like integrated mortise and tenons. A floating tenon has been around for millennia, guys. Okay. Pinned rabbets have been around for millennia, and they are both repairable. So just because they look like they were produced by a machine and not by a hand saw doesn't mean that they're less repairable, less sustainable. But as far as like things like PVA glues, I understand that they are a plastic and they are a newer technology, and I have my thoughts on it, but I also, like, we know that they last at least 100 years.
Yeah, which is a good amount of time.
Which is a good amount of time. And so
you
the
can
thing is, like,
repair it. You can repair it.
You
If
absolutely can.
You scrape off the old glue and put new glue on.
You can reverse it with heat. You can reverse Type Bond 1 with water. So, like, it does have repairability. It's just different, and I don't think we've entered the age of needing to repair a large number of these pieces that have been made with PVA.
Well,
there are things...
Chair makers might disagree with you.
Sure. There are things that, like, adhesives that we have used that we know don't hold up. Like, this is why we don't veneer with spray adhesives, right? This is why we don't use contact cement. This is why you're not using, like, the clear version of Elmer's glue on all of these pieces. Like, there are things that we know don't last. So at some point, the question becomes, how long is long enough?
Yeah. Is a century good enough?
If it lasts a human lifetime, that feels like it's way more sustainable than the 5 to 10 years most people are holding on to a piece.
But it has to be able to withstand somebody putting their fat ass on it.
But I guarantee you, if it's my fat ass, it ain't gonna last.
That big old dog sitting on it, you know.
Okay. So it's materials, it's how you make it, it's the adhesive. But in terms of the argument about repairability, maybe it's not solely on us as the maker, but maybe it's on the audience as well.
Carry your fucking weight, guys.
Yeah,
right?
Audience,
Jeez, guys.
audience. I'd like to ask you. I'm looking, I'm peering at the audience through the camera. Have you tried to repair the things that broke in your house? Have you tried to acquire the new skills to repair it? It's an interesting question. I recently had my dryer break, my clothes dryer. It broke. It's from 1982.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's older than I am. Jesus Christ.
I could tell because the paneling on it looked like some sort of car, like the old station wagon with the wood paneling. The paneling on the dryer. And so my wife says to me, she's like, well, it's still running, but it's not heating. And I was like, I don't know shit about shit with dryers. But I pulled that bad boy out. I'm like, it's from 1982. It can't be that complicated. Famous last words, right? But I pulled that nasty thing out. I got covered with dust bunnies. It was so filthy under that dryer. It was really bad. And I took the back panel off, and all the back panel was like an air intake and a gigantic row of coils that turned red hot. And the air would just... like there was a fan that just blew the hot air up, or it sucked air through these red hot coils and just put it in the dryer. And I saw the coils were broken in one area, and I'm like, okay, seems okay. They must make these coils, right? And all I saw was two hot electrical wires that hooked up to the bottom, a red and a black. So it's like 220 for sure, right? I could tell by the plug. And so it's like two hot electrical wires to these coils. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy some new coils. So I bought some new coils that kind of look like the existing coils. And I found a way, in the dust bunnies, that they're all fucking dust bunnies all over my head. And I'm sandwiched in this dirty ass part of the basement. And it's so uncomfortable, and I hated every minute of it. And I managed to get the new coils back in, and I hook up these two dangerous looking wires. It's like Frankenstein's monster is going to reconnect at the neck bolts, right? Oh my God. And I hook this bad boy back up, and it totally worked. I was like, oh my God, son of a bitch. It totally
You are so
worked.
brave.
This dryer is, what are we at?
Unkillable.
25 plus, let's say 15. It's 40 years old, 45 years old. And all that broke in it was a damn heating element, like a tungsten heating element. And all I had to do was put a new one in and hook two wires up. And to me, that was a lesson to myself about don't be a weenie about trying to repair shit. If you think you can, take it apart, take a look.
So that's a major caveat, right? So there are two things I want to say to that. Number one, a big component of it is you already have confidence in your ability to navigate the physical world, which a lot of people don't have right now. They can develop it. I don't think it takes that much to develop it, but they have to have the courage to try things. And maybe don't start with electrical and wiring in your home. Like maybe that's not where you like really dive into the deep end. Maybe you start with like fucking building a shitty chicken coop that's going to fall down in a couple of weeks. You know?
Repairing your IKEA table.
You don't want to choke your chicken before your
You don't want to choke your chicken before your dryer is fixed. Then who's going to fix the dryer? So, but the skill set, the diversity of skill set is really important.
It is.
And people come by those in different ways. I came by it because shit would break in my house as a teenager and we couldn't afford to have somebody come repair them. So it was either I had to figure out how to fix the switch or the outlet in the kitchen, or we didn't have lights in the kitchen, those were the options. Yeah. So you figure it out. And a lot of people aren't taught to do that. And so they are intimidated by the thought of what if I get it wrong, the house could burn down. And that's totally fair. And this is the second thing I want to say is sometimes it's okay to throw a thing out. And another dryer example is about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, my dryer shit the bed too. I was home, thankfully, and I was just doing laundry on a Sunday afternoon. And I smelled this weird, like burning smell that I hadn't smelled. It wasn't food burning. It wasn't trash burning, something like that. And I realized quickly that it was my clothes in the dryer were burning. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? So I go down and I kill it and, wait for everything to cool down. And I pull it out and none of the clothes caught fire, but they got so hot that all of them singed. And so you got like the denim in there, the cotton in there, et cetera, and they all singed. I was like, what the fuck happened? And through a series, because, again, I'm going to take shit apart and figure out what went wrong. Through a series of investigations, and I think this dryer was probably from the early 90s, the regulator failed. So
the temperature regulator?
I have a gas dryer. And so you have a flame in there, and then you have a temperature regulator. And when it gets hot enough, the regulator closes the gas flame off, and then it waits for it to cool down to a certain thing, and then it kicks back on. And the regulator had failed, so it was just getting cooked. The drum was getting cooked the entire fucking time, and it almost lit the clothes on fire. Had I not been home, my house could have burned down.
Wow.
So I was like, what do I do? I looked online at new dryers, and they were like fucking expensive. And I found a new regulator, and I bought that for $15, and I repaired it. And I worked with that dryer for another like 3 or 4 months until it got to a point where it was like, if something were to happen, if that regulator were to go wrong,
you fixed it and then you gave up on it?
I fixed it because it's a thing of like, if it was another way around, if it was like the regulator failed and so the flame automatically went off, it would have been a non-issue. But if I turn the dryer on and then I go to the grocery store and I come back an hour later and my house is burnt down, maybe it's more sustainable to get rid of the fucking dryer instead of the entire goddamn house.
That's a great point. There's a local handyman service here in our town, or maybe just in the county somewhere. Their motto is, "We repair what your husband fixed." And I fucking love that so much.
That's strong. That's strong.
Yeah. And I have to agree that like at some point, I mean, like you have to have the skill set to do this, but you also have to have the curiosity to do it, right? And you can't be afraid to be bad at something, which I feel like is like a huge thing in our culture right now. I blame social media in part.
Sure.
Like, thank goodness for folks like y'all and for, YouTube in general for teaching us how to repair things that that repairmen just don't even exist for anymore. Like that handyman, he's like one of one. It's so friggin' hard to find somebody who can repair anything. We have a vacuum that broke. That vacuum's going to go to the landfill. Like we cannot figure out how to fix it despite trying, and there's no person to repair it now. I have this friend. We keep joking about starting a platform called Only Grands. That's just all the skills that your grandma knew that you don't know anymore. And it's just a bunch of old ladies teaching you how to do these things.
Jack, that's who taught me how to fix things, is the old guy across the street who told me woodworking. How?
Awesome.
He taught me how to repair stuff, and he showed me it's okay to like give it a try.
Dude,
And
Yeah.
right,
there's a guy with a YouTube channel. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but that's the YouTube channel. It's something like Ask Your Dad or something. So
I
like he
love that
basically,
guy.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a dude who's just
Yep.
like, I didn't have a dad. Like for anybody who didn't have a dad, here's how you do shit that your dad should have taught you to do.
I love
So
that.
It's like fucking great.
The old generation that grew up in the 40s and 50s, this was part of their life, was fixing shit, learning how to fix shit. It was part of the fabric of everyday life, whether they learned it from their father or a neighbor. But today, that's not part of our everyday life anymore. I learned it from Hal. He gave me a gift. He was 80. I was 33. We became like best friends. And he taught me all this shit and showed me, like, he did demystified all of it. And like, what a gift. And so when my little 28-year-old, like I'm 50, I'm like twice their age, I could be their dad for God's sake. They move into their new house and they're like, Paul, this deck is rotting. You know what? I helped them buy the ePay. I'm going to help them reinstall the deck. I'm going to show them how to do it, because that's just me paying for. This isn't like a feel good session or anything, but it's like, I feel like I should pay forward what Hal taught me. And then like, here's the next generation. They're early 20s or late 20s, and they don't know how to do shit. They're bright as can be. They're super smart, but they don't know. When did they have the chance to learn this shit? They were in college and they just started jobs and they bought their first house and they had a baby, and here we are. Like, when do we have a chance to learn this shit anymore?
We've talked about this in previous episodes, but like, that's what we're taught. If you want to be successful, you don't worry about fixing shit. There are people who are dumber than you who can fix it. You know, like your job is to make money so that you can pay people to do shit for you.
Oh,
That's so unfulfilling. That sucks. Like there's no
Eric,
personal agency in that.
That's the culture we live in.
No,
Yes,
it is, dog. Dispose
Jack,
and pay somebody else to repair.
Yeah.
But
there's no personal agency in that.
There's
I
no
love
personal
that.
agency.
There is not.
I just so as I've been like working outside around the homestead, I've been listening to audiobooks, and I just finished this audiobook series. I need to preface this by saying the author, James Howard Kunstler, is apparently kind of a dick. I'm told that he's like not a very nice guy. And you know what? Picasso was also a dick, and we still talk about cubism.
Sure,
so like, let's
sure.
we'll put a pin in that. That's a whole other conversation for another time.
Jack.
But yeah. Well, that's definitely a whole other episode. But this series is called World Made by Hand, and it's based on peak oil and like the collapse of modern society, because oil is no longer available, electricity is no longer available. You can't run the factories that we built up to build all of these cheap things. Some of it is very like romanticized, you know, for sure. But one of the things that stuck out to me the most in that series was that when we repair things, physical things, we're more able to repair ourselves as people, we're more able to repair our society, and we're more willing to invest in things that last, and we're willing to take care of those things, both physical things and metaphorical things.
That's such a sexy statement.
Oh my God, Jack, I have a boner from that. I feel like you
Well,
just
don't choke the chicken on me.
Don't choke the chicken, man.
I feel like you mic dropped with that. Oh my God, that was so good.
I mean, that's a whole other episode. But like all that to say, yes, James Howard Kunstler's probably a dick. I haven't looked into why, so disclaimer there. But if you have Audible or whatever your audiobook platform is, the World Made by Hand series, there are 4 books in it. There is a lot of graphic violence in there, because as you might imagine, in a post-apocalyptic society, people are fighting over all kinds of shit because of scarcity. But when there's nothing left to buy, you have to make everything or fix everything. And that becomes true for physical things and for metaphysical things.
God damn.
Yeah.
Eric, if that were to happen, would you be all right, or would you be screwed?
Are we going into the dystopian future?
Just a quick.
Would
Give me
I
a
be
quick
all
flavor.
I feel like I would have to have a layered answer there, because on the one hand, I know a lot. Obviously, I don't know everything. The reality is I live in a city. The entire size of the property I own is the size of my house and the 9-foot patio behind it.
Well, dog, Paul and I got you covered on that. You know, you can always.
Yeah. Well, and so that's the other thing, right? Is I think a big part of whether or not somebody we're like just fully in dystopian Futurama right now. I think a large part of how somebody survives that is the human connections that they make and how you build that web.
So you have to love these people and be willing to repair fissures that happen in that relationship. I think it's the same thing for physical stuff.
Okay. After show it is. We're gonna talk about the dystopian future in the after show. That's what it is.
All right, love it.
Oh, how do you summarize that show? Holy shit.
Hey, go make a thing and don't choke the chicken before you finish it. It's been great, friends. Great. Thanks for joining us on another episode. Go check out the Patreon if you want to hear about our dystopian novel that we're writing. And see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.